structure of that building since that fire?
No. Well, yes, they had started doing work on the building on 9/18/09 that day, and then the project was stopped that day because, as I mentioned before, it was beyond the scope of the permit. It was at the point where the building, you could see, was deteriorating, and the contractor couldn't stop taking masonry blocks off the building because they were really falling off the building.
Okay. Now, they've submitted different plans to you?
Yes, they had submitted a set of drawings for the construction of the building. It was a one-page drawing, which was basically just a site plan of the interior of the building. But it had a legend for some shoring up of a temporary wall, but it didn't make any reference to where that wall would go. And as I mentioned before, after reviewing the plan, after reviewing doing a history of the search of the permits, going back to when the building was constructed on February 23rd, 1945, it appeared that some of the items on the building were constructed without permits. There were modifications to the inside of the building, so therefore, in my objection letter, I had requested if they had documentation to show that building permits were issued for these items, to submit them. They would also need an architect or engineer to verify the condition of the building, because from the observation from the outside and photographs, there were structural defects to the building, and there was no method of how the building would be restored, if it could be, how the masonry block would be put back together. At some point, the contractor started to install masonry block above the deteriorating block on the east side of the building. And that was another reason that the building was stopped, because it wasn't being done properly, and it was being installed over decaying masonry walls.
Did you ever get new plans that conformed with your objections?
No.
Were any plans ever submitted again?
No.
And what was the date of your objections?
My objection letter was on May 13th, 2010.
I have no further questions at this time of the building examiner. Go ahead, you want to ask me?
Yes, in connection with the proceeding for which we're having the hearing tonight, do you have a file that you've compiled?
Yes.
And do you have it with you here?
Yes.
Can you just tell us what's in the file in terms of documentation that led up to the hearing tonight?
Sure. I have a copy of the plans, the one-page plan which shows the floor plan, a front and side elevation, and plot plan.
And who prepared that and what's the date of it?
This was prepared by Cyan Associates. They did their drawing on January 10th, 2010. We received it on April 15th, 2010. I received a survey of a different building, which seems to be 2015 Park Street. Also the building permit application, which says the work that is to be done: repair, place stucco coverings, replace blocks where necessary, rip and replace roofing materials, replace exterior kitchen doors, exterior side door, replace storm door, replace window, lintels, gutters, leaders, flashing, install insulation under roof and front north wall, remove damaged plaster, and replace with sheetrock accessory shed in yard 6 foot by 8 foot. And that was submitted on the same time. At the same time, I have on May 13th, 2010, I have sent a letter with objections to the plan, to issue the permit. On that, I have 10 objections. Would you like me to state them?
Well, why don't we should have offered the first document, is the Village's Exhibit 2. Identify the first document again.
Okay, the first document was a one-page drawing from Cyan Associates of the floor plan, plot plan, and a shoring plan.
And that was given to you by whom? Was that on behalf of a respondent?
Yes, it was delivered to the office. I'm not sure which individual gave it to us. I then received with that package a survey of 2015 Park Street, which is a different parcel. We also received with that a building application that was given a number of 1004-2987. Then I the application, did a search of records. I issued a objection on May 13th, 2010.
What were the objections?
Okay, the objections were, I basically wrote them that I did a review of the site plan and a search of village and town of Hempstead records. The following items had no building permits issued. If you have documentation that building permits have been issued, please submit them to this office. Otherwise, you will need to file a proper building application. Conversion of the open porch on the west side of the building to a bedroom den. 2, construction of a 4-foot by 7-foot 8-inch foyer. 3, rooftop sign. 4, 3 bedrooms and a bathroom in the basement. 5, interior alterations, relocation of the kitchen, addition of bathroom and meeting room, living room. 6, alteration to existing bathroom and office. 7, detailed drawings will be required for the replacement of repair of the existing roof, rafters, ceiling joists as to the method of attachment to the front masonry wall. Number 8, due to the amount of cracking, deterioration, and missing masonry block from the building, an engineer or architect's letter will be required as to the method of repairs and replacement of the masonry material. Number 9, a survey of the property is required. The survey submitted is for a different property. And number 10, a separate application will be required for the accessory shed.
And what were you given in response?
I then received a letter from Alberta Libby to her objection.
Well, why don't we mark the first two?
Yeah, take that.
All right, I was-
Exhibit 2 and Exhibit 3.
Oh, all right, we can do that. I was going to mark the entire
All right,
file as,
okay, that's easier.
yeah, it's easier to do that. We're going to collectively mark all these exhibits as being people's, I'm sorry, as being villages number 2.
We received a letter from Alberta Libby claiming that the building was that way when she purchased the building. Let's find that letter. No, I guess.
You want to go and get it off your desk? We can wait.
Okay, on May 31st, 2010, I received a letter from Alberta Libby, 2035 Park Street, to VAB Building Department. I am in receipt of your letter dated May 13th, 2010, denying my company, MA Salazar Incorporated, a building permit, application number 10-04-2987. Most of what you are claiming as modified as no permit has been in place since I was a very young child. And the original building that was built in the 1930s and modified after a fire with a new building permit during the early 1990s. We are requesting a review of all your information on file as we requested earlier by my daughter. Requesting the FOIL, of the records of all plans and images you have on 2035 Park Street, 90 The Plaza. Please let us know your earliest convenience. Part of my search after I received that letter, because when I had done my search, and she was mentioning that the building was in place since 1930, was I done a search for the Town of Hempstead building permit, and there appeared to be a building permit issued on February 23rd, 1945, to M.A. Salazar, 75 Queens Avenue, for the location of 2035 Park Street, known as Section 58, Lot 60, Lots 1 through 4. A building permit was issued, which is 35-345. An application was filed on February 19, 1945, for a proposed new building, which is basically 45 feet 8 inches by 41 feet 6 inches. There was also an existing garage on the property, which was 21 by 31 feet. The use was for a dwelling and real estate office. A plumbing permit was also issued for a 3-piece bathroom and laundry tub in the basement. And on the first floor, 3 water closets, 1 laundry tub, 3 lavatories, 3 water closets, 1 laundry tub, 3 lavatories, 1 bathtub, and 2 showers. On the microfilm of that plan, it shows the basement as an unfinished basement, except for a bathroom. On the first floor plan, I compared it to the plans that were submitted to the village, and it showed that there was an open porch on the west side of the property, which was the means of egress into the 3-bedroom apartment. At some point, that was converted into an enclosed room. On the plan, it showed bedroom den. It was also showed that on the east side of the property, currently there is a door that leads to a kitchen. There was no door at that time, and the kitchen was a U-shaped kitchen, not broken up to 2 sides. There was also a 2-piece bathroom in the office that was converted into a 3-piece bathroom with a shower. There was, in the front, a circular stair in the front that led up to the front door with a small 2-foot canopy overhang, and now there was a vestibule that was in its place.
Want to offer all this?
Yes, so just give me a copy of those documents you referenced, and that basically constitutes the file for the building permit application that was submitted that you referenced.
Yes.
Okay. And we're going to mark that as Village's Exhibit 2. And my other question is, at what point did you start to take action under Chapter 80 of the Village Code? And what documentation is there with respect to that?
By the way, as far as any of your findings and any of your rulings as the building inspector, were there any applications ever made to the Board of Zoning Appeals?
No.
So they have a short review from the Board of Zoning Appeals, any of your rulings as the building inspector?
No. On January 21st, 2011, I issued a summons under the New York State Property Maintenance Code, Chapter 1, 107.1, at which point there was a trial. They were found guilty by the Children's Justice. At that point, I sent a letter to them stating I had the village engineer also come down to the site to do a report of the condition of the building. He had done that. I then issued a notice to the applicant under Chapter 80, Buildings Unsafe, Section 80-5, which is the notice for the building unsafe. In that letter, it lists all the items that are required to be in that notice, one of those being this hearing. And from the date of the notice, they have a 20-day window to start demolition.
Do you have a copy of that?
Within 6.
I'm sorry. Do you have a copy of that letter?
Yes.
And we're going to mark that as Village's Exhibit 3. All right, so specifically Exhibit 3 is comprised of the August 16, 2011 letter from Building Inspector Stephen Cherson to Mrs. Alberta Libby dealing with the subject premises, advising her of her right to a hearing, and also the July 29, 2011 letter to Mr. Cherson from R&W Engineers PC in Bayshore, New York. And those are the documentary predicates to this hearing. Are there any other documentary predicates to this hearing, or?
Yes, I had taken pictures also of, I mentioned before, the interior of the building and the fire was. And when I issued the stop work order on 9/18/09, I had taken pictures of the condition of the exterior of the building.
Okay, you have those pictures with you?
Yes, I did.
All right, so we'll make those also part of Exhibit 3.
Also, part of when the work was going on, they were piled up around the property. On July 21st, 2010, a certified letter was sent to Alberta Libby, MA Salzo, 2035 Park Street, referencing the Property Maintenance Code, section, chapter 165, giving them, telling about the violation and the time frame to comply with that, which we never received a response. After that, at the September 13, 2010 village meeting, the Board of Trustees did a resolution to have the debris removed from the property. On March 31st, 2011, we had the debris moved from the building. I also have pictures of that on 3/31, 2011, showing all the debris that was piled up all over the property, which was also health and safety hazard.
Is that the subject of one of the summonses?
No.
Do you have any other questions?
No, no.
Do you want to
Yes,
inquire?
sir.
on?
Yes.
By the way, are you precluded in any way from acting as an attorney? Some action been taken that precludes you from being an attorney?
I have my reapplication pending before the appellate division, and I
So
may not
were
act
you-
as
were
an
you-
attorney.
Did you lose a license at some point?
2 years,
I see, so you're suspended, is that right?
that's correct.
I see. So you want to be here and act as a corporate officer? I see.
You see what?
You're a
I
corporate
understand, you
officer?
are here because you're a suspended
My
attorney.
name was given
I
to
see.
you 3 weeks ago, I think.
I see.
Not a surprise to you, is it, sir?
But
No, I
you're,
received a letter from a fellow named Michael, I think Illich,
Yes,
who
saying
said
that
he was
he's
the
the-
lawyer.
Saying what?
I received a communication from a fellow named, I think, Michael Illich.
Yeah, what are you saying?
Who said that he was the lawyer who was going to appeal.
You didn't say that in the letter. You read the letter.
Maybe I read it. Well, I
You
assume,
might be too busy
I
to
ass-
have paid attention
I
to it.
assumed that I got a letter
apologize.
from a fellow who was a lawyer, and I assumed that he was going to appeal it.
but you are an officer of the corporation.
That is correct. I've said that 3 times.
And
You
how
want me
long-
to say it again?
How long have you been an officer?
Why is that an issue here, sir? Just tell me if it's an issue, why it's an issue, and I'll respond.
I don't know, I'm thinking that they might have made you a corporate officer so that you can present some sort of input even though you're not an attorney.
And-
But if that's not true, just say so.
That's not true.
Okay. You said you had a corporate resolution.
Yes, sir, I do. You want it?
Yeah.
One second.